Themo, a white man born in 1926, taught me Negro spirituals. These songs, as deep as the roots of willow trees that my family is named for, weaving our sour histories with sweet harmony, our fear, our hope, our terror and bravery transcribed and taught back to me by white men, because during slavery, Black families were not allowed to sing. Here's one you probably know. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. That's England Rugby's unofficial anthem. Sometimes they use it in a drinking game. I'm unable to understand how this refrain, this melancholy cry for deliverance from centuries of torture and pain, this secret message of warning sent through time, this pressure-made diamond could be mined by middle-class Englishmen trying to get a ball over a line. A surface reading about defiance can be seen, but I'm sure Paul Robeson's dream was for something more, because rugby was never a gladiatorial arena where the only reward is the sweetness of death and nothing more. I just thought of a joke. What's black and white and red all over? Blood-blistered cotton-picking hands. As Themo conducted our songs, hands waving in white cotton gloves, do you think he imagined them stained with blood like so many cotton-picking hands? When a golden-haired soprano sang, "Are you ready, my brothers? Are you ready for the journey? Do you want to see your Jesus? I'm waiting for the chariot 'cause I'm ready to go." Do you think Themo felt the weight of life, the strength it took to hold on despite the horror of seeing your child ripped away, sold, and murdered? I didn't get to sing Ride the Chariot even when my golden-haired soprano was sick, and all agreed that my voice fit. Perhaps it was the quaver in my tone matching frequency with absolute clarity, what others couldn't see, a connection to history in my notes that dropped too much gravity in songs meant to bring glee. Even then, I didn't see the grace-hewn beauty of my ancestors' black hands. It was hidden from me because Black families weren't taught to sing. How could we? For hundreds of years, we weren't allowed to gather and learn the strength it takes to grow melodies of triumph beneath punishment and punishing southern heat, whips tilling our backs for fertilizer, white men raping to grow the bounty of their mulatto property. Me, I have the holy grail of genes because 1% of me is Native American, the smallest sliver of salvation because every mocha American like me would rather believe that we are descended from African queens and native chiefs rather than the reality that even Sally Hemings was property when President Jefferson started raping her at 14. Many African Americans who have way back European genes got them through rape, and that heartache we face every day when we shave or bathe, or when a white friend shows us their arm and demands we regard their sun-pinched tan with, "Look, I'm blacker than you now." Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. Oh, don't you want to go to that gospel feast that promises think I was born suicidal, a faithless, impatient racing towards tonal resolution. I find the general tenor of life devoid of escapist joy, the endless waiting and waves of cacophonous braying, scrambling and unending stumble towards unlikely peace. This unsettling need was gifted me by my 15% Celtic ancestry because statistically, suicide was and is surprisingly low in people of African descent, even for those held in slavery. But the genetic hope and bits of oral history, undertones of endurance and prosperity encased in these somber melodies, was taught back to me by Fenno Heath because Black families weren't allowed to sing. Here's another joke. How do you cook chitlins? You boil the shit out of them. The joke is chitlins are pig intestines. That's what my enslaved ancestors ate. That's what they were given. And with their bellies full of pig guts and corn, they worked from dawn until night, hungry, sunstroked, and afraid. And still they created music. They told stories. They charted stars and plotted routes to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd, for the old man is coming to carry you to freedom. That song was code for how enslaved people fleeing the inhumanity of captivity might watch the night sky for a celestial sign, the drinking gourd or Big Dipper faithfully pointing north. Here's another joke. Marion Jones, a blonde-haired, curly-haired white woman with a guitar, taught me follow the drinking gourd. I learned it as a fable in a school lesson about constellations and how even slaves had different names for stars. We sat in a big circle, tiny hands clapping along, and we were told to drop the G off drinkin' to make it more authentic the way people back then would sing. And when I told my Aunt B, a Black entrepreneur and pioneer in her own right, about our slave ancestors, she sat me down and she lectured through the night about how our ancestors were enslaved because it was something put upon us. Being a slave is a chosen state of mind, and it was up to me to find a way to not be held down in a narrative set by those who abused us. But she could only scold because she didn't have a song to share the hard-won stone in our bones blossoming as joyous music. My family don't sing. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. The stalks night is drawing nigh. That was my solo in choir. The conductor described my raucous tones as better suited for the heartfelt ad-lib rather than the classically refined, honed over decades of perfection that was Ride the Chariot. Fenno Heath did a marvelous thing. He was born with the gift of music and the privilege to study the only language of my people allowed to survive. Our words and melodies preserved when our bodies and minds were left to rot in fields and nourish dogs. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home. Our names and native tongues were taken. Our gods and culture were ground up and poured into Christian cups, otherwise we went without water. Our lives were treated as seedless fodder for a burgeoning country's profit, so when Billie Holiday's strange fruit was thoughtlessly slaughtered and as sacrificial fodder for one more forgotten social media trend, I wanted to swing, but not low, but because that fertile fruit contained the seeds of me, seeds of our true strength and gifts, which were twisted and choked into nothing but commodity, and we survived. That enduring kernel of creativity, our spark, our anima, our spirit slept inside on ships across the Atlantic and through hangings and burning pits, Black children strip searched in schools, curb stomping homicide and Jim Crow genocide. Our music survived side by side with our humanity. It was planted and buried under shit and horror and was fed with our cotton-picking blood and fearless entrails sustained on pig guts, and it thrived. That life, that song of Africa and what it means to endure, the wawa seed that I have tattooed on my arm provides a means to be more than tragedy and injustice. It's transcendent, vines pushing upward through time to connect us to something immortal, something divine. It is a power that I was never meant to see because we were poisoned and hunted and taught we couldn't be anything more than what they wanted to pay for us. But the strength of that sacred seed that would one day be a tree was cloaked in ivy-scented rags and smuggled back to me by Fennel Heath. He delivered Daniel from the lion's den, Jonah from the belly of the whale, and the Hebrew children from the fiery furnace. Then why not every man? Fennel Heath, a white man born in 1926, was given stewardship of my heritage, and like so many of our songs, that fact is bittersweet. Grateful that he preserved these memories of those who lived and died for the only promised land that is inside me. But how good it would be to drink the nectar from the fruit of the tree from the hands of those who planted the seed. Not just their spirit, but their hands gently entreating me to wade on because Jordan just might be. And even though my family weren't allowed to sing in poetry, there are counterpoints and harmonies, motifs and refrains like melodies, rhythms and rhymes and breaks, gradually giving shape to make the writing sing. So maybe this isn't a poem, but something more organic, a beginning meant to grow and conceive and harvest and weave, just like the willow tree standing beside my ancestors' peace. Or maybe this isn't a poem or a seed. Maybe it's a song, a generational call and response, linking those who come after me to history. And every breath I take free adds complexity to the sumptuous notes we were always meant to sing, and what a thing it would be for my ancestors to hear my family sing a song full of the faith that the past dark has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let us march on till victory